Avengers Assemble! Today we're looking at the Hydra Attack Trooper from the Captain America 3 3/4 inch line of figures from Hasbro. Now this is the troop builder of the wave. It came out in Wave 3 and it is the only movie figure in Wave 3. Now I'm sure some of you are yelling at your computers telling me that there was another Hydra soldier in that wave. Yeah, it's a minor sculpting variant. Kind of strange the way they pulled that one off. I only picked this guy up just because I wasn't really all that tempted to troop build Hydra soldiers, just because there's so many of them. When it comes down to Frost Giants, you can kind of get, a handful of them, and that's kind of the end. That's kind of where the end of the ranks would be. It's enough. It looks fine. Hydra troops, you need a lot of them to really get that look going that you have enough. So I just kind of skipped out on picking up that other one. But it is a pretty minor difference from what I've seen, so hopefully this review will kind of service both of them. Now, his ridiculous accessory is his BFG, a giant cannon powered presumably by cosmic cube energy. But as far as big, stupid accessories go, it's kind of cool. It's not that bad of a thing. I don't know. You could do worse. It has its blue missile. You fire it. The kind of cool thing is if you bring in the real accessory, the gun that they use in the movie, it's really just like a bigger version of that, so they kind of fit together. It kind of makes a little more sense, and at least it looks like something you'd have in the universe, unlike the Iron Man missile launchers that just look totally out of place. The real movie version gun does fit in one hand kind of well. It's hard to get him to hold it in both hands. The stock on it is a little large and really hard to get it to bend the way it would need to for him to hold it with both hands. That's about my best approximation of getting it to work, so you'd have to turn his body totally sideways and his head off to the side. I normally just pose him holding it with one arm. The figure itself is pretty nicely done. The head is where the main variance lies between the two different Hydra troops we got. And this one has, I think, a little bit more on his head. The other one is more of a thicker helmet, so this is kind of the lighter version of the troop. The costume's kind of cool. He's got his tunicky upper body suit here. Kind of reminds me of something out of Star Wars, like the Imperial officers would wear. But then again, I guess they were inspired by Nazi uniforms, so that's probably more of what I'm thinking of. He's got his little power band going down his arm. I don't really know what that was for, but I assume it was to channel the cosmic cube energy. Backpack back here. This is all one big soft rubber piece. It goes around his waist and over his shoulders. And this side, it goes down his arm. It's almost kind of what I was thinking Captain America should have had. This instead of the suspenders, kind of bringing them into more of a 3D shape. Over on his arm here, really cool detail is they actually do have the Hydra logo on his arm. It's hard to pick up on camera, but it is well painted. It looks correct on there, which is really neat. Take a look at the back of his helmet here. His legs are pretty basic. His boots are nice, though. They look pretty cool. And silver buckle detail on there, which is a good touch. For articulation, he has a ball-jointed head. Pin and socket shoulders, so you can go out to the side. You could rotate. This side is hindered by the band going down it. The other side has full range of motion. Bend and rotate at the elbow. Rotate at the wrist. Here's the ball-jointed mid-torso. Now he does have the ball joint legs like Captain America did, with the kind of chunkier version so they can move. But they're a little hard to move with his skirt. You can get him to work, though. You can bend the knee at 2 points, and you can rotate and bend at his ankle. As I said before, I believe the main difference between this Hydra Trooper and the other one in Wave 3 is the head sculpt. There may be some other variances throughout the body, I'm not entirely sure. But this guy's kind of cool. Figures like this always kind of bum me out, though, because they're kind of cool on their own, but you need to army build them if you're ever going to display them. They kind of look weird by themselves, and I don't like army building figures. They're too freaking expensive to bother. Maybe if they go cheap, I'll pick them up or whatever. But I'm not planning on army building Hydra soldiers unless they go on some serious clearance, and I haven't seen these guys in enough numbers in stores to really feel like that's ever going to happen. Another thing to note on this figure is both this and the other movie Hydra Soldier both had a comic version variant in the comic colors. Same exact sculpt, just done with the comic colors. I think it's a pretty cool idea. The uniform works pretty well for either, so it was a good move on their part to do a repaint that I think customizers probably would have done anyway. When it comes down to recommending this figure, I have a hard time coming up with an answer. He's fine. He's not fantastic. He serves a purpose. And I think if you planned on army building, he'd be worth it. And if you don't plan on army building, he's not really all that worth it. So I'm going to go on the side of barely not recommending him. This has been another Outside the Box review, and stay with us as we continue to count down to Avengers.